There's a girl that comes to mind. I don't know, she low-key considers herself one of the boys. Like, how do we feel about that?
Oh, I don't know. I feel like,
yeah, I mean,
there must be wounds when it comes to like,
true, eh?
when I feel like when we don't have good, strong same-sex friendships, it's because we've been hurt, or we don't want people to be accountable for us. Because I feel like because we understand each other, we kind of go through the same things, that if you have brothers who really look out for you, you will get corrected. If that makes sense. So like, I'd rather have friendships with the opposite sex because they don't really fully maybe understand what I'm going through, so they can only give like partial advice.
True.
I honestly think it's harder to be fully alive when you don't have same-sex friendships. Like, there's certain things that say the girl, right, who has a bunch of guy friends, who the guys can never wrap their heads around. They can read about it, study it, blah blah blah, and they'll never be able to wrap their heads around. And there's certain things that we go through as brothers that the girls will never wrap their heads around, right? But but together, right, like you journey like deeper, and they like, in a way, I feel those like same-sex like friendships will help reveal more of who you are, right? Like help you to go deeper, discover more of yourself.
Yeah.
And who you are as a person, and where you're going to, right? And especially when you when I honestly believe, like, with us three, like, iron sharpens iron. Like, we've been sharpening each other from, I guess, since we met each other.
Yeah.
I remember, like, so. Ken and I had a rocky start
when
we first like met each other.
I watched that all happen.
So this setting, like, it's in my basement, right? And like, I think Ken had come over, right? AJ was there, and we're like chilling and all that.
This was before an Exodus meeting.
Yeah, this was before. Yeah,
no, this was before we. Yeah. This was before we even went to SLS, I think.
Yeah, this was before SLS. Yeah,
this was at Mission House.
Wait, are you sure? No, this was this was during Exodus.
No, bro.
Wait, which instance are we talking about?
I think this is before. No, yeah.
Which instance?
It was the same conversation we had here with me.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so we're in the basement, right? And we're chilling, and like, I throw out, like, nonchalant, just like, cause like, I was like, yo, Ken, like, how do you know you're like called to marriage, right?
Yeah.
And, I thought I did it, like, very lovingly and with like good body language and all that. But AJ, you know what? Like, can you explain how I really was, yo?
I feel like for sometimes when we say we can't see ourselves when we do things. So I saw this play out because they were still becoming like friends. They were still getting to know each other. And so, like, Andre is a very intentional guy, but he can also be very intense at times.
A little rough.
Yeah. And so he feels as if he was like nonchalant, like his shoulder on the couch, and like, oh, how do you know you're married? Like, you're called to marriage. Yeah. But no, he was like erect, like attentive eyes, and like his hands are together, like, yo, like, how do you know?
Oh.
And
no.
And Ken was
like, he's like, yo, how do you know?
Yeah. And then Ken is like, wow.
I was shook, man.
Yeah,
I was shook.
It was so funny.
Because I was like, here, I don't know this man. He doesn't know me.
And I was the one lying down, like with my arm, like my head on my hand, while I'm like fully like lying down.
Just watching this whole scene.
And I'm just like, I don't know if these two really know what. Was happening.
And it went honestly, it went over like my head, right? Like, honestly, it was like months later when AJ was like, by the way, you did not have that relaxed body language and that soft tone of voice that you're talking about. It was like...
Yeah, I don't know. It put me in a defensive state. For sure.
And then the same thing happened to me, like 2 months...
No, like a week ago.
Not a week ago, like a month ago.
A month ago.
And it just like replayed in my head. And it was funny. But like to go through that with each other, I think is a beautiful opportunity to also grow in deeper friendship, because when we experience that, we're like, okay, I kind of understand him a little bit better. Like I remember we were having that conversation like over message about like, stuff about Keystone, like Ken and I.
Yeah.
And like when we just started like talking and kind of like understanding each other and explaining, at least from my viewpoint, why I use certain things, you're like, oh, okay, I get it. Yeah. So you didn't really mean like the way I thought. And I think when we got to understand each other better in that way, we're like, okay, makes sense. And like it improved because now when he does that, now I understand why he does it. Yeah. And I think when friendships like grow in that way where there's friction and then you smoothen it out in the sense that like, okay, I kind of understand why you do that. So now I can better handle that situation next time. But when we don't explain it and we just kind of like sweep it under the rug, it's like you're just building up tension. Yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. And I don't think that's very healthy for anybody to be like, and how many people do that though? Yeah. Like, I think guys are notorious for like, oh, we get into a fight and we just like
don't always talk it out.
Yeah, and just like sweep it under the rug. And then after 3 days, we're like, yo, how are you doing?
Yeah.
Back to normal.
Yeah, I think it can also build up. And maybe the girls out there too in their own like sisterhoods, right, can experience that. But I think, bringing out the dirt, bringing it into the light will
the more you keep you keep sweeping the dirt under the carpet, right? Like, I'm imagining like a room, and at one point in time, it's gonna become like you can't walk properly. You can't even like use the room properly because there's this big like dirt mound of dirt like under the carpet, right? Yeah. And man, I think it's so refreshing to like be able to honestly share your mind like with people, like no matter what it is like you're going through. That's like refreshing, if something's like annoying you or whatever it is, and just being like, hey, this is what it is. Like, praise be to God, but in a manner that they can receive it, though. Yes. And that is something, that is an art
we have
of
been
subtlety.
Talking about that, like delivery.
Yeah,
intention.
I need to.
Only goes so
that's
far.
Me. That's me. I need to work on that.
I think
delivery.
all three of us, like sometimes
I think we all have
like
our own
good
ways.
intentions, but then like how are we delivered? Sometimes we're just like,
and the person can't receive it. No matter how good you are, if they don't receive it properly, right?
Yeah.
Like, what's the point?
It's a tricky balance between like your intentionality, but then also that other person's sensitivity, your insensitivity, etc. Right? Like
it's work.
It is work, right? But like I think through going through these experiences, and because like our friendship is that strong, like we can do that, and we can probably push the boundaries every time.
Yeah.
But lovingly, right? And I think that this will actually prep us for our future marriages, if that's what God wills, right?
Yes.
Because if we can't communicate in those marriages, or there's relationships that could lead to marriage, like GG,
if you can't even do that in your friendships, like there's no way that I can imagine that in your relationship. Like, so no. I think that's like everything is foundational, right? I think everything should build up on to one another, and I think like when we were talking about that song last week, "Not in a Hurry," you know how you're like you like to jump, first before you crawl, but even before you jump, you crawl and then you run, or you walk and then you run and then you jump. Yeah. So it's just like you skip like 3 steps, and and we were just talking about like. Before we were podcasting, we were talking about math and how like, math gets so much more harder when you miss. Like,
you don't have that foundation, man.
You didn't study fractions.
Yeah, right.
You're in trouble.
Good luck.
I just want to shout out to all the teachers out there that's developing curriculum. I seriously think that math, especially in like the grade in the elementary stages, should be like 100% or nothing. Or 90% of nothing. Seriously.
What do you mean?
Like you get 90.
Like a passing grade is like a high.
No, I think that's valid because like that's fundamentals, right?
Yeah, man.
If you can't even add or multiply, then you're not gonna get you're not gonna get algebra or you're not gonna get calculus.
And you could imagine their frustration, right? If you don't know a foundational thing. It'll just build up frustration. You're like, I can't do this subject like at all, and it's because like one key element is missing from
like,
the whole.
Oh, I suck at math, but it's like, well, no, you might not have learned it properly. That's why you think you suck at it, right? Or you might not have been taught it, or it wasn't taught properly, right? So,
but we can easily apply that to like our friendships, like if we, and I think like, I think I was talking to Andre, like sometimes like God brings us to similar situations. That have happened in the past that we failed in to show that like I've given you another opportunity so that you can choose and be better this time, and that you can rely on me. At least I can only speak to myself that I see that so often where it's like God has brought me to another kind of similar experience. Like, hey, let's see if you have learned from your past and that you can be better with the virtues that I've given you.
Yeah.
And I see that sometimes in my friendships when we talk to other brothers, I'm like, yo, that's like something that just happened last year for you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you noticed that, but it's happening again. And I hope you're more prepared this time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Ooh, that's a spicy one. That's a secret. That's a code.
You know what?
But like I get it. Oh yeah.
This guy just had a revelation.
Yeah.
No, AJ, you and I think when we were going through that situation that time, I was like, yo, I've been noticing like we're getting into these fights a little more frequently. Like what's going on, right? But I think like normally I probably wouldn't have said that to anyone, right? But I think it's because our friendship is strong. I was able to like bring that up, like, hey, is there anything else here, right? Is it in fact, this circumstance, or is it something underlying, right?
Yeah. Did we even really talk about that?
No, afterwards? I don't think. I think we prayed about it, but like I didn't really feel compelled to like. Or I don't think there's anything underlying. Right?
Nothing too much, but like I feel like the last time we had almost a spat, it went so much better, right? Because normally it was like we were gonna just sweep it under the rug. We were like, yo, we'll talk about it on Monday. Yeah. But then like as we continue to like just converse a little bit more and like start becoming more open and like talking to each other. Yeah. Like I honestly think that we handled that so much better than the past.
Yeah, I think so, man.
Yeah,
I think so too.
And I was talking to Andre. Like me and Andre actually had a spat not too long ago.
Oh, rip.
Yeah.
Yeah. A little dust up.
Yeah. It was pretty big actually.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. And we haven't had one in like a year or like I remember we had one before. Yeah. But like obviously our brotherhood's strong, but we don't get to normally like that because obviously it takes great love, but like it also takes even more love to be like, hey, like this hurt me, or like I've been hurt by you, or I hurt you. So, but like I was talking to Andre, I was like, after we discussed it, we waited a few days, but like I remember saying afterwards, like, how did you feel about like how we handled this? And what
it was much better than I think in the past. Like I didn't really see any points where we could have gone much better because we took like so it happened like on the Saturday, we took the Sunday, apart. And then on the Monday, we like met up, like in my car, and we just like before we started, we like prayed first. You know what I mean?
Ooh, you know what? That's actually
we prayed individually beforehand, and then we prayed before we had the conversation.
Yeah, that's a big suggestion
to have an open, honest conversation and to actually listen to where the other person is like coming from, right? And you know what I think? One of the things that I always like have to keep like working on myself is that I always have to keep giving people the benefit of the doubt, right? Because I'm like, and also too that like with forgiveness, it's an ongoing like thing. So you could go a month with forgiving somebody, and then for some reason today you're like salty with them for something they did a month ago, and it's like you restart that like process. But like it's like love, it's a choice that you keep on keep on making like every single day. But yeah, no, this was I think this was really good, like really open, like honest, like communication, very frank, right? Yeah,
I also opened up to you in ways that you haven't known before, right? That you didn't know that was something that I was going through, and that maybe that's why I was doing that. And then I think once I explained that, you kind of like, oh, okay, I kind of understand why you did that. Doesn't mean that it's valid or isn't a proper excuse, but at least you kind of understood, and that helped you like be more compassionate, and it helped me be like, yeah, like I need to be more intentional in that, right? And what was really great about about what I find really great when it comes to brotherhood, or even when you get into a relationship, like everything builds upon each other, right? But me and Andre didn't talk for like a good 15 hours. since the